This is Thank You Mama, weekly lessons from mothers all around the world. Hello and welcome to Thank You Mama. My name is Anna Titer. My guest today is Mara Marchesi. Mara is originally from Milan, Italy. She currently lives in London. And Mara is also known as the Intuition Queen. She's a certified intuitive and creative coach, and she empowers women to trust their intuition and to manifest their vision through the power of colors. Wow, Mara, tell me about this. Empower me through colors, please.
Well, first of all, hi, Anna, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm really grateful. And, yes, so I always been extremely intuitive as a person, and I learned that intuition is a great power of mine. I learned that because a channeler told me that, and I started to pay attention to my intuition. I always made a big decision based on how I felt rather than what logically was better for me. And I knew that when I followed my intuition, everything kind of fell into place, and most importantly, it made me feel good. So I decided to use this and help women to understand how to trust themselves, really, because intuition is only yourself, your higher self, your soul, however you want to call it, but it's not only yourself. And so in doing that, you're able to create the life that you want and manifest everything that you want, from a relationship, from job, from a career, a job, anything, a house. And then because I've always been extremely attracted to colors, and through my spiritual journey, I learned the power that you have an aura that has a color that tells things about you. And I learned that color therapy is a thing. And I am super passionate about emotional healing. And so I realized that those things combined together can actually help you manifest your vision. But not only that, your date of birth has color associated to that, which are your color, your personal colors. And they can tell so much about you, and they can be your guidance through whatever it is that you want to manifest. And so from a very normal thing like wanting to choose your brand color if you become an entrepreneur or if you have to create something for yourself, from guiding yourself through the characteristic of yourself that need to be used more or less, or you need to be paying attention to. And so helping you through your journey into manifesting your life.
Oh, wow. Mara, I once had an aura reading and it told me I had the yellow aura. What does that mean?
That's nice.
Oh, is it?
Well, the yellow...
Okay.
Well, yeah, the yellow aura is because I associate colors also my coaching with Reiki, and so that is related to the second chakra, and so creativity and sensuality, and so I'm pretty sure you're a very bubbly person, you're a very open person, and so that is probably your characteristic. And then there is a lot that I could tell you, but colors have an energy and have a psychology. And so depending on what you're going through, you might need a color rather than the other one. Mm-hmm. And so they can be complementary to your own colors, or sometimes you might need something different. And so this is the power of color. And so I do a little bit of those kind of things to help you realize which color gives you what kind of feeling and how you can move forward.
And Mara, you also work with Reiki and crystals.
Yes.
And card readings.
Yes.
And you also have your podcast called the Intuitive Queens Podcast.
Yes.
What did you do before you decided to do this?
A lot of things. A lot of things that were not related to spirituality at all. I used to work in advertising when I was in Italy. Then I moved here trying to find a job in advertising. It was very difficult. I went into a different way. I started working in museums, and then I worked in language school. And then I settled into the property business. So they were not necessarily related to it, especially the last part was not creative at all. But I was really interested in self-development. And I had some friends that introduced me to Reiki and crystals. But to me, it was more something like, oh, okay, I get it. This is interesting. Oh, I like it. Like, especially, if you see a crystal, my friend, when she gave me the crystals, to me were just a very nice and pretty thing. Then, of course, she told me this is for this reason. So do this whenever you feel like that. And I did follow her rules and her instructions, but I wasn't into it. I just really liked it. And then, from one crystal, you get to 2 and 3. And then I realized how much Reiki actually helped me. Especially everything, I think, for me kind of opened up more when my dad passed away 5 years ago. And so those couple of friends that I had that were already doing a lot of spiritual practices and that had their own place to do that were really, truly helped me through the first few years when I was grieving. And so Reiki became one thing. Then I had the aura reading done and crystals. And so in my own way, slowly, I started to get more attuned to crystals and more curious about how Reiki can actually help you, because I could see how it helped me. And so I was like, okay, this is definitely something that I want to learn more about. And so I started to use it for myself, and I started to suggest to friends, oh, maybe you need to do this, or, you feel this way because your third chakra is blocked. Maybe we can do some Reiki. And then the reaction is like, oh my God. And so in all those kind of things, I was like, okay, so this is clearly something that I feel called to do. And then came the Oracle cards, which again were more like, I think my first deck was the color cards because they were colorful. And then a year after my dad passed away, I signed up to my coaching course, and my coaching course is created by this amazing woman who is very spiritual. And so in studying and being curious, because I am a very curious person, and the more I liked something, the more I wanted to know about. That's how, when I finished, I was like, okay, I want to do all of those things. Like, I want to incorporate all of those things in my coaching. And so this is how it all came together, because it's like, this is powerful. And so it kind of developed as I went, as I started to be more curious about it and I started to experience more of myself. Then I'm naturally someone that likes to share. If I have discovered something that worked for me and made me feel good and helped me through a difficult time, and you're happening to go through a similar situation, I will normally share something that could make you feel better. And so this is how I started. And then it kind of became a little bit different in my coaching, but it all came through very naturally.
Mara, let's talk about Mama Nicoletta.
Yes, let's talk about her.
Mama Nicoletta is from Apulia.
Yeah.
In southern Italy. Tell me more about her.
Well, me and my mom have always had a very rocky relationship since I became a teenager. Because before that, we were pretty much, I was very attached to her. I was always wanting to follow her and do the things she did. And then as I became a teenager, she started to tell me what to do and what not to do. And it wasn't just that, it was the way she was kind of ordering me to do stuff. And that never been something that landed well with me. And as we went through, I stopped telling her everything because I felt judged and I felt not understood. And I was expecting my mom to kind of behave in a way that, I give you advice, but then you do what you need to do. And so we started to have arguments because I wasn't agreeing on what she was saying, or because she was judging me on something. And so I stopped telling her my stuff. And so I think this started to create a little bit of a hole between me and her. And I have an older brother, so there is a weird dynamic with him as well. And I've always been someone that is a free spirit, that wants to have a better life and will do whatever it takes to get to the goal. And so we had a lot of arguments because I was often, as I grew up and I was in my 20s, I was often changing job to go to a better job. And my parents were all born after the war, Second World War. And so for them, this constant change was not acceptable. They couldn't understand it, even if it was for a better position, more money. They suffered the fact that I was not stable. That didn't make me stable and secure. That just, you never know what you're going to find. I was like, yeah, well, I'll find something better. But what if you don't? I'll change again. But this is crazy. So it was those kind of situations.
And Mama Nicoletta was born in southern Italy, which after war was quite poor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When she was little. And she was one of 5 kids.
Yeah.
So she probably had quite a tough childhood.
Yeah.
And then she got married. How old was she when she got married?
23. Okay. Yeah. Well, because as she tells me oftentimes, the way for women in the south of Italy to kind of escape family, like parents' life, was to marry someone. I mean, my parents were in love, so it wasn't a thing like they really were in love when my mom speaks about how they got together, or like I could see how my dad was with her. So they really were in love. But at that time, you were not allowed to be a young woman, and do the things that girls do now. And so you either had a boyfriend that meant you were going to get married, but your parents kind of had to agree on the boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And so she used to tell me stories about her best friends kind of escaping with the boyfriend, which meant they would go away for the weekend without telling the parents. So, and then they would send a message, but someone would go to the house and say, oh, I don't know, for example, Maria and Francesco went away, which meant they spent the night together. So now they have to get married.
Oh.
And so, yeah, and to me it's crazy. And it's funny. And my mom laughed about it, and she didn't do that. The way my dad and my mom got together was really beautiful. They met at a wedding, and my dad pursued her until she said yes. And bear in mind, my dad was in Milan and my mom was in the south. So he would go down to the south of Italy as soon as he could. They would write letters to each other. So they really were in love. And 10 months after, they were married. Mm-hmm. And so from the south, she moved to the north, which was like if you go to another country, just you speak the same language.
I know, it's so different. Yes.
And so my mom had to kind of figure out how to be, and they were living with my dad, my grandmother, my dad's mom. Mm-hmm. And so it was also challenging in that kind of way because yes, she was someone that could help her, but at the same time, there was this figure that was always behind. Mm-hmm. And so that freedom of a young couple just got married, was never there. Mm-hmm. And a year after my brother was born, and after 5 years after my brother, I was born. So I think, she did what she could at that time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't easy to adjust yourself to something that is so different and she came from a small village in the south of Italy. And my dad lived in Milan, like the city. And so, the tubes and the underground and cars, so many cars, and people didn't really know each other because it wasn't like in the south of Italy. You still go down south now and they're like, oh, yes, you are the daughter and the sister or that. Yeah. And it doesn't happen like that. I mean, like you do have your community, but it's not that you know the whole of the city. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is what I like because then people mind their business. But, there is a difference, also cultural difference between the way people from the south do think and see things, and people from the north do and see things. And being Milan also, the center of Italy, even if the capital is Rome, but everything revolves around Milan. And so fashion and sports and entertainment, everything. So there is a complete different way of living. So she had to adjust herself to that for sure, and to different kind of people.
And she was a housewife. She never worked, did she?
She was a housewife, and she started to pick up jobs like 2-3 times a week, where she would go and clean houses because she wanted to have her own money to buy, women's stuff, stockings and makeup, and maybe just have the pride to say, okay, yeah, Mara, go and buy this that you want. She didn't want to be having my dad about every single stupid thing. And it was also good for her, so then she will be more independent, even just take the transport to go to this place and meet different people. And yeah, it was really good because there were also 2 women from her town. So they were teachers. And so we will go together and have dinners together. So they became friends. And so she learned a lot from them, which I think was crucial for her when we were growing up, because she had nobody to talk to really. And those 2 friends, even though she was working for them, were really a big part of understanding more how to be a mother.
Mara, let's jump into her lessons, because I think we can tell the rest of the story through her lessons.
Yeah, lessons. Well,
we have the episode where we have a lot of lessons of what my mom didn't directly teach me, don't we?
Well, yeah.
What I had to learn myself through my mom.
Yes. Well, one thing that she taught me was not to despair whenever something it's not going right, because she used to say all the times, something better is going to come along. Whenever there was something bad happening, or they didn't know how to, get to the end of the month, or I was upset for something, that was always something she would say, don't worry, something better will come along. Even if maybe she didn't really believe that, but it was just like something that she would say often. So that, to me, it's like, the universe will take care of you. Which is what I understood later on when I went on my journey. But as I said, we've been having a really rocky relationship, and I thought she needed to be in a certain way for me to feel loved and complete. And then I realized that it's up to me. And so she taught me to accept people and their limitations. My mom is never going to be something that I want her to be. As much as I don't want her to think that I can be something that she wants me to be. And so it goes both ways. And something else that she helped me understand without really doing it on purpose is that unless you work on yourself, you cannot transform the relationships you have with the people that you love. We go out and about trying to find our soul family because maybe not necessarily our parents can support us in the way we want them to, which is what I did in my life. But what I came back to, and people would tell me, it's like, Mara, if you don't work on yourself, if you don't heal yourself, nothing's going to change, because your mom is not capable to do that. But you are, because you have started this spiritual path, and this is for you to do. And then when you do that, then things with your mom will change. Not in the way you think they will, but they will change, because you will change and you will react differently. And this was very difficult for me to understand at the beginning, because I was like, why do I have to do the work when I am the one that is wounded? But I did understand that I had the power because I had the more awareness, but also was willing to change, which my mom, it's not so much willing to change. She's someone that doesn't particularly like change. And I learned to not be resistant and to trust and to just know that something better is around the corner for me, because the universe has a plan and it's all going to go well if I'm following my purpose and my higher self. And so in doing that, I learned, I worked so much on myself to get to a point where I understand her I see her, I accept her, and it's just much better because now I don't expect her to be any different. I accept her. I don't get triggered as much as I used to. And so, in me not responding in the way I used to, she also doesn't behave in a certain way. And so that's where the change is. It took me a long time.
How long did it take you the whole time while you were in England? The past, I think, 8 years?
Yeah, 11 years.
11 years. Wow.
Probably it picked up in the last 6 years because it was less conscious at the beginning. It was something that I knew I had to do, like remove myself from the whole picture and move to... I wanted to move to London because I wanted to move to London, but also because I wanted to be far from her. Far in a place where she couldn't come and talk to me and see me and judge me and tell me what to do or what not to do. I needed to learn to be me.
And you were already a grown-up. We are talking about you were 27 and you already had a job.
Yeah.
And you had your boyfriend and everything. And even then it's not like you were a teenager and you decided this is too much. You already had your life.
Yeah, but I was still living with them.
As you do in Italy. We have to explain.
As you do in Italy, because I didn't have enough money to go. I was actually, the thing is that year I had decided enough. Because I was arguing with my mom every single day because she had decided that we had to argue. We got to that point where we couldn't stand each other we just couldn't stand each other. And no matter what happened, I knew there was going to be an argument at some point during the day when I was coming home because I was working all day. So within the week, at some point, I will either do or not do something. And we will get an argument. And I was not someone that would let go. If she had something to say, I will go back and respond. And, so it was really heavy. And I had headaches every morning. So I got to a point where I was like, I need to get out. Enough. It doesn't matter where. I just need to get out. And so in my process of looking for a flat with a colleague of mine, all of my friends that knew me were like, what are you doing? Why didn't you go to London? Mara, you've been talking about it for years. And it was like, I couldn't escape it. And at some point, I just couldn't push my intuition down and push this feeling that I had so deep inside of me that I had to go to London. And so I did. And I went to London with no job, knowing nobody. And it was a great lesson for me to come here in that kind of way.
I want to jump into, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to jump into the next lesson, which is very important for me, which I have to learn, and you obviously managed, which is which is about how we react, not reacting emotionally.
Yeah. It's very difficult. We are used to deal with things in a certain way, and especially with parents, especially if you move out of your parents' home. When you go back, you tend to be triggered in the same way you used to be triggered when you were living there. And a big lesson for me was when I went for Christmas in 2018, I went back home for the first time at Christmas after my dad passed away. But my brother had moved back in because he had broke up with his girlfriend, and so he needed a place to stay. And there was the dynamic that we had when I was 15. My mom was behaving in the exact same way with me and with him. I was like, no, I am not 16 anymore. So I really had to say to myself, do not respond. Do not say anything. Do not get involved when they argue. Do not try to give them tips on how to resolve their life. And it was really difficult for me because it was a very emotional moment because my dad wasn't there. It was Christmas. And I was like, no. We're not getting there again. I have been working so long to get out of this situation and to have a relationship with you that is like more respectful and woman to woman where we see each other differently. I am not doing this. And so I purposely said to myself, do not. And so, oh my God, Anna, you... like I was there and I really had to take a deep breath in and and really took myself out of going back to the same way of behaving because, we are so used to. And so, and I really, every morning I was like, okay, you can do it. It's only 5 days. It's okay. and I was really talking myself every day to be as neutral as possible and not to be involved and not to respond, and to really take a moment to breathe and find either a way to respond differently or not at all. And it was life-changing, because what happened was that when I came back here, I realized that, first of all, the fact that I am a coach and I help other people, and other people are happy that I help them, doesn't mean I can help people that don't want to help, especially my mom. And then also I stopped feeling guilty, because I felt guilty since my dad passed away, because she was alone. And I was like, she is choosing certain situations because that's her contract with my brother and whatever it is that she's here for. It is not for me to make her better, to change her, to teach her. If she wants to receive, she will. But I need to stop trying to control the situation and find a way to make it better. I just need to be me and let her be her. And it was really interesting, but I had to go through that really terrible 5 days at Christmas.
Mara, for the end, we have one last lesson, which is very pretty, and I think it's very beautiful to close with, which is, you told me you have everything within you.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yes, you do. Every one of us has everything within us, but unfortunately, we grew up thinking that there is something less and someone else has something better, and they are better, they're prettier, they're more loved, because we compare so much ourselves to other people. And I think I gave you the example of my friends, especially when I moved here. They all had parents that had paid for university and had paid for the deposit of their house or whatever else. And I was looking at those situations like, why I don't have that? And then in my journey, I luckily learned that I have everything within me, and I am supported, I am loved, I am powerful, I can deal with every situation that comes my way, and I am surrounded by amazing people. I don't need anything else, but I need to believe that is true in order to feel that way. So my life journey has taught me that I have everything that I need, and if I want something else, I need to work for it. But it's okay. I can do it because there is nothing missing in my life. I am everything that I need. And so from that, it's that trust. And that's when you trust yourself, you trust your intuition, you follow your intuition, and you surrender. Sometimes we get so stuck up into how things have to happen because we want them to happen in a certain way and by a certain time, and it doesn't happen that way. And so in learning to trust my intuition more and more as I went through, I also learned that when I don't feel something, there is something going on that I need to figure out what it is. Maybe it's an old trauma, maybe it's a situation that just happened or an emotion that I haven't dealt with. And once I've done that, I'm okay because I know where that feeling came from, why I didn't feel good enough, for example. Okay, so it's for that situation. Okay, let's unpack that situation. Okay, is that situation real? No, it's only in my head. It's only my ego. Okay, right. So then I can reconnect again and feel I am good enough. And so that, moves me forward and allows me to feel good within me, and be grateful for who I am, what I am, and what I'm doing.
Mara, thank you so much for the lessons. These are very, very important.
Thank you, and thanks to Mom.
Thanks to Mom for teaching me all these things,
yeah,
and keeping me out of my comfort zone.
Exactly, yeah.
Because Mom, I'm happy.
I am actually, yeah. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you so much, Anna.
If you enjoy Thank You, Mama, and want to help it grow, please take the 2 seconds to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send me a mail at info@thankyoumama.net. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Anna Teider, that's Tajder. This was Thank You, Mama. Come back next week, subscribe, and tell your friends.